everyone, my name is Michelle Zacco. I'm from Cutting Edge Stencils. We're excited to be on Hometalk's Facebook page live with you today. We're going to be showing you how to do a stenciled frames to create a stenciled gallery wall for your home. It's going to be a really great project and it's easy and fun. All of the stencils that we're going to be using for today's project can be found on cuttingedgestencils.com, and we have a special bonus for you. We're going to be giving you $5 off your purchase of $25 or more, so just use the code TAKE5 at checkout to get $5 off $25 or more. Don't forget, cuttingedgestencils.com. Alright, let's get started. We're going to go over the materials that we need for this project, and then we're going to show you how to walk through all the steps. So the first thing that we need some wooden frames. We picked these wooden frames up at a local craft store, but you could easily get them on Amazon, and they are plain, unfinished wooden frames, and they have a really nice, solid, chunky border that we're going to be painting and stenciling with our stencils. You also need some craft paint, which you can also get at the craft store. You need some, you can either get a foam tray or you can use a paper plate. You need a dense foam roller, stencil brushes and a small chip brush, spray adhesive, some wood glue, some patching stuff to fix the edging that we're going to show you how to make, a saw, and a miter box. We're going to show you how to use these items. They are very, very simple to use. Your project is going to look amazing. So let's come back over here. Now we're going to take our wooden frame, and we're going to use a low-grade sandpaper. You're just going to lightly sand the wooden frame. And all you're doing is really kind of taking out some of the bumps and the small imperfections that are on the frame. You lightly sand it off. Okay, and then you're going to make sure you get the edges. And just to give it a little bit nicer of a look, try to get the corners. You just want to, it's a small thing, just go around and make sure you kind of round it out just slightly. We're not saying it has to be completely rounded, just slightly rounded. Okay, and then you're going to get the other edge over here. And you're going to get the inside. And again, this is just it's going to make it a little bit smoother, it's a little bit easier to work with, and it gets rid of some of the imperfections. Now we're going to be moving on to painting this frame. We have, I'm going to show you how to select some colors, because selecting color can be one of the things that's the most intimidating with a project. You have beautiful decor in your home, and now you want to add some wall art, but you don't really know how to choose the colors that are going to go with the items that you have. So one of the best ways to kind of find colors that works for you is, you visit the local craft store or, your local paint store, and you get your paints, and then you get a small index card. And all you're going to do is you're going to actually open up your paints, you're going to lightly dab them on your finger, and you're going to run them across the index card so that you can see how they work together. So we have a lot of neutral tones here. We have a gray, we have this creamy white, and then we have a beige. And so we just wipe it on. And as I'm doing it, I'm realizing, you know what, I really do like this color scheme. I like how it works well together. Now, if you were to do it and you just say, oh, this brown is a little too dark, I want to go lighter, or maybe the brown is just perfect, or maybe you want something, brighter, more gray, you can definitely see how the colors work well together, and then you can see if this is the color scheme that you're going to go for with your project. It's an easy way to determine what colors you're going to be using. And so we like this little trick. We have decided that we are going to be painting the outside of the frame. We're going to be using the Deco Art Americana. It's in zinc. It's a darker gray color, a little bit of a blue tone to it. It's a very pretty color. Okay, so we are going to use a chip brush to paint it. It's a small brush. You can pick that up at the craft store. You're going to pour your paint into the tray, shake it up a little bit. Now today we are excited. We are going to be giving away a stencil of your choice. All you have to do is tell us what in your home would you stencil. So we want to know what sort of stencil projects you guys have going on. And again, you can find all of our stencils over at cuttingedgestencils.com. We are offering $5 off your purchase of $25 or more. Add some more paint in there. All you have to use is the code TAKE5. So we're going to lightly coat our frame. And it's a really pretty gray color. stencil picture frames. Now it's a fun craft and it's also rewarding because at the end of the day you're going to have some really pretty wall art. Now don't forget to tell us where you would stencil in your home. Would you be stenciling a table? Would you stencil a floor? We've had some really great floor projects lately. Wall art is always fun. I think just last week we showed our fans on Hometalk how to stencil some wall art using a mandala stencil. We have a beautiful, maybe you guys can flash right back here behind me. We stenciled this mandala. It was an old wooden tabletop that we actually had grabbed out of the trash. We sanded it off a little bit and then we painted a beautiful mandala pattern on it. Isn't that gorgeous? And I love the idea of upcycling something because it's taking something old and giving it a little bit of new life rather than just throwing it into the trash. Okay, and as we finish up painting the frame, now we're going to have to make sure that we get all the edges because you would want your frame to be half finished. So we're going to turn it on the side and we're going to paint all of the edges as well as the inside of the frame. And we can add a little bit more as we paint the edges. Do we have any fun comments as to where people plan on stenciling? Have we had any fun comments on what kind of projects they would be doing? I'd love to hear.
Lots of coffee tables. People love that mandala back there. They love the idea of upcycling.
Upcycling is so much fun. And you know, the thing with that project back there, that was one of the easiest projects we have completed. Literally just you sand off the top of an old tabletop and stencil with some craft paint. It could not get any simpler than that. And one of the wonderful things is that now if it's a gorgeous piece of wall art, you would never know that it was an old tabletop.
Our Instagram followers said they would stencil their front porch, living room wall, and the back of a huge bookcase.
Oh, now the back of a bookcase. I love the idea of a pop of pattern when you least expect it. And so one of the great things about painting the back of a bookcase is that it's this subtle little pattern that kind of just pops right out at you. Lay our frame down when you least expect it. So the back of a bookcase is always a fun project. And then the other thing is you want to, as you're painting it, make sure you get the inside of your frame. So, just pick up your frame, make sure we get the excess off, and then you want to paint the inside of your frame. We have so many different stencils to choose from. And one of the great things about our stencils is that they are reusable. So you can use them for multiple projects. So if you have a mandala, you could easily stencil it on a piece of wall art, and then you can take it and you can stencil it on an old tabletop, or you could stencil it on your deck. I'm going to turn this around so you guys can see how the frame is coming along. The stencils that we're going to be using today are card size stencils. So you can find them under our website, Cutting Edge Stencils, under card size stencils. But really they are just smaller size stencils. They can be used for smaller crafts like a picture frame, like a planter. Sure, you could be very creative with these card sizes. Here's a really good example. This is the size of the card size stencil. So you could stencil some cards with it, or it's really just a very small craft stencil. We've stenciled a planter with it, and we've done tons of fun projects with these smaller size stencils. Okay, now I'm going to set this on the side to dry. And we're going to keep the project moving along. We have pre-painted one, because what you would do is you would want to paint it and then kind of put it off to the side, let that dry for a little while, maybe half hour, give it some time before you start to work with it again. But we have pre-painted one in gray so that you can see what it looks like finished. And now we're going to move on to the stenciling portion of this. So for the stenciling portion, we have decided that we are actually going to stencil in, here, folk art. It is called warm white, and it is. It's a very warm white, and you saw us use it on the index card. It works really well with that gray.
What was the color of the gray?
The gray was called Deco Art Zinc. Now the colors that we have chosen, these colors do work very well together. I'm going to line them up so that you guys can get sort of a snapshot of what these look like. Can you see those in there? And so this group of 4 colors works very well together if you're creating sort of a gallery wall of stenciled frames. So for this project, we are going to be using the Zamira. One of the great things about this is once you've chosen your color palette, you can mix and match your stencils. You can use, you know, a Zamira on one frame, and then you could use a beads on another frame, or you could use like a Moroccan Dream or a Heritage Grill. We have a ton of stencil patterns, and all of them work very well together when using the same color tones. So now we have our Zamira. We're going to show you how to use spray adhesive. We are going to be working with this 3M spray adhesive. We're going to take you on outside, show you how to spray the adhesive. When you're spraying this, you want to always spray the back side of the stencil. If you look closely on the bottom, you can see that we have, it says cuttingedgestencils.com, and it has the name of the stencil. You want to flip that over, so when you're using it, there is a front and a back. You want to be spraying the spray adhesive on the back of the stencil. That's an easy way to figure out which side you're spraying it on. You're going to spray the entire back, and then you're going to give it a couple minutes, like give it, you know, three minutes to tack up. It's called a knuckle tack, and you're just going to put your knuckle onto there, and as long as it feels tacky to the touch, that's how you're going to know whether or not your stencil is now ready to be used. You would never want to use it if it was too wet. If your stencil is like globbed in spray adhesive and you go and you put it either on your frame or your wall or whatever you happen to be stenciling, you are going to get adhesive from your stencil onto the wall. But if you're at the knuckle tack stage, where it's only a little bit tacky, it's going to stay on the stencil only. So you're not going to have any stencil adhesive that rubs off onto the frame, or if you were doing a wall project, onto your wall. So let's go on outside. I'm going to show you how to spray this. We are hanging out in Ramsey, New Jersey. I'd love to know where our viewers are tuning in from. The weather out here, it's been a little iffy. We've had some rain, we've had some sun. One day it's 90, the next day it's 60. But this weather holds out perfect for a stencil project. Okay, so now we have it laying down. You want to use a well-ventilated area. You don't want to spray this in your living room. You don't want to do it on your couch. You're going to end up with spray adhesive on your couch. So do it in a well-ventilated area. Outside is preferable. You're going to lightly just spray the back of the stencil with the spray adhesive. Okay. And that's it. Now we're going to go back inside. We're going to give this a couple minutes to tack up. We're just going to kind of wave it in the wind a little bit. Thanks, guys. Now while we're waiting for the stencil adhesive to tack up a little bit, I'm going to pour our paint into our little tray over here, and I'm going to use a dense foam roller in order to paint this. So we're going to shake up our paint a little bit. Okay. Now with the dense foam roller, what we're going to do is we're going to roll it into the paint, and then we are going to off-roll it over here, but we want to properly coat the roller. If you look at it right now, you can tell my roller is not properly coated. I've got a giant splotch right there, and I'm not covered on this side. What would happen if we just decided to stencil like this? We're going to end up with splotchy looking stenciled paint everywhere. It's not going to be even. So what we want to do is we want to kind of work the paint so that it's evenly onto the roller. So you just keep rolling it back and forth. Sometimes you think, oh no, I want to do it quickly. Take your time. Take another minute to kind of roll it back and forth, because this is going to save you a headache in the long run. Now you can see our stencil has, our dense foam roller has been properly coated. You see how we have it sort of evenly coated all the way around? And then we're going to off-roll it. We actually don't have very much. We'll add a little bit more. I tend to go light on my paint when I'm stenciling. Light is always better. You can always add a second coat. Don't forget, we are giving away a stencil today. All you have to do is tell us where you would use the stencil. It's a stencil of your choice, up to a $50 value. Just tell us where in your home you would be using the stencil. Now we're going to place, and you can see when I put the spray adhesive on, as I put it on, it's definitely tacky. I can still position it around, but it is going to hold it in place. Okay, and then we just push it down. Okay, and we are going to start stenciling. Like I said, you want to do an even, a very light amount of paint that you're rolling on, and you can always add more to it. You don't want to dig the roller underneath the stencil. That would cause the stencil to bleed. And we also don't want to make it too thick or splotchy in certain areas, so we're just going to roll it on nicely.
One of our followers said they would stencil their bathroom floor.
Oh, a bathroom floor, that would look gorgeous. Tile stencils are all the rage right now. Everybody is purchasing tile stencils. We have a lot of great patterns. They mimic the pricey cement tiles. And it's a really great way if you have, let's say, an old vinyl floor or a laminate flooring and it's just not doing anything for your space. It's a really great way. We have some tutorials over on our Facebook page, facebook.com/cutting-edge stencils. And you can see our tutorials on how to stencil a kitchen backsplash as well as a bathroom floor. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to pick our stencil up and then we're going to be repositioning it. But as we pick it up, look at how beautiful that pattern looks. That's amazing, right? Who would have known a simple wooden frame could look this good? All right, so now we're going to move forward. We're going to line up the stencil. And this can be done. It's very easy to do. Okay, and we're going to push it down so that's in place. We are going to go back to stenciling the pattern.
One of our followers wants to stencil their powder room ceiling.
Oh, a ceiling is definitely a fun project. That's one of those, you're going to stop and stare at every time you walk into the room. Definitely use some spray adhesive for a ceiling project. It's going to help you. And remember, all of our stencils can be found on cuttingedgestencils.com. Use the code TAKE5 to get $5 off a purchase of $25 or more. Okay, and we're going to pick this up. Beautiful. All right, we're going to keep this moving along. We're going to reposition this stencil over here. And we're going to make sure we line that up correctly. There we go. No. That just took me a minute. That's okay. And don't forget, tell us where you would stencil in your home. We're giving away a free stencil up to a $50 value along with a Stencil Essentials kit. Our Stencil Essentials kit is it's a great kit to have. It has a stencil brush, a dense foam roller, and then a handy little leveler, a stencil leveler to figure out if your stencil is properly placed on the wall, if it's level. Okay, so we are going to continue painting.
We have a question from one of our Instagram followers.
Sure.
Would you recommend using the spray adhesive on a wall project as well?
We always recommend you can use a tape to hold it in place, but spray adhesive does kind of give you that extra crisp line that sometimes is needed, and it just makes the project a little bit easier. So you can use spray adhesive. It's not necessary. You don't need to use spray adhesive, but you can use spray adhesive, and sometimes it does make a project just a little bit easier. Our stencils are reusable. The easiest way to clean a stencil is with soap and water. And we're just going to make sure every single time you put more paint on your roller, always make sure you off-roll it onto a piece of paper towel. You always want to keep a little piece of paper towel handy. And then we're going to keep going over the pattern. I love the touch of pattern that a stencil can add to a frame. Okay, and we lift that up. Look at how pretty that looks. Is everyone loving it so far? Hit the heart if you love it. Okay, and then we are going to reposition for the last time and finish off this last little corner. Do you see how easy this was? This was actually really easy to do. And it wasn't that hard to pick up the stencil. Just have to make sure you have it properly lined. And with the spray adhesive, it definitely helps it hold it in place. And then we push it down.
The hearts are rolling in, Michelle.
Oh, that's so great.
So
I'm
many
glad you
hearts.
guys are loving it. A project when a project is this easy, I love sharing it. I love sharing a project that is this easy. And when you see the results at the end, you are going to be amazed. You are not going to know that this was like a really inexpensive plain wooden frame. Okay, and we are going to finish up this last little corner. Now, the great thing about these frames is you can go as heavy or as light as you like with the paint. If you wanted more of like a shabby chic sort of a look, you know, you could go kind of light on the stencil, and then all you could do is hit it up with a little bit of sandpaper to kind of give it that rustic look. Or you could go for a dark, crisp pattern. It's preference. It really comes down to preference.
What paint do you recommend for this project?
We are using craft paint. For a project like something simple and crafty like this, craft paint works really well. There you go. You can see all the paints that we're using. Now, we sell all the tools that we're using for something like this. You can pick up these stencil brushes on our website. We have various different sizes for stencil brushes. If you're working with a stencil that is much bigger, bigger openings, you know, you want to use something that is easier to stencil with. If you have something that has smaller openings, maybe you're doing multiple colors, like we could potentially have done this in multiple colors. And if we were doing that, we could have used a smaller stencil brush to kind of get into the little areas. And it's a great project to do in multiple colors, and they complement each other. They look great. We've chosen the roller is always the roller just, it goes on so easily, and it's such a simple project. Let's pull this back and you guys can see what our stenciled frame looks like. Can I get a bunch of hearts for this? Look how amazing that looks. I am going to show you though, I'm going to show you how to take this project one step further, because this looks really good, and you could potentially just hang this on the wall, insert a picture and hang it on the wall, and it would be perfect. But we're going to show you just one more step to kind of make this go a little bit further, and that is adding a little bit of molding to your picture frame. Now, this is basic 1/4 inch molding. You can get this at Home Depot or Lowe's. It's relatively inexpensive. You just pick up one long sheet of it. And the next part that we would be using for this would be a miter box, along with, I happen to have this saw. I think they also sell a miter saw. I happen to have this on hand, so this worked well for me. You would take your molding and you're going to size it up to the size of your picture frame. We started off with a longer piece, and then you take out your pencil and you kind of mark it. You mark it and say, okay, well, this is the size that I need. Then you put it into your miter box. You get your saw out, and I'm telling you, I was able to do this. If I was able to do this, then you can do this too. It's very simple, but it adds the ultimate wow factor to your project. Then you're gonna slip your saw in. We're not gonna actually cut this part, but you would just basically put it down, and then you work your way back and forth to cut your piece of molding. You're gonna get your 4 pieces cut to the size that you need, and I'm telling you, it's easy. And then you're gonna take the sandpaper, sand out your edges. That's simple. Also, all the edges are sanded. Then you're going to line it up. You can paint it. For a project like this, because we're trying to make all of our frames coordinate, and we're creating 4 frames today that work well together, and we chose these 4 colors. We actually, for this molding, we had a little bit of metallic, because who doesn't love metallic in their life? But then we also did this folk art. It is called coffee bean. So a little bit of the metallic, I think it's copper. I think it's called brushed bronze. Actually, brushed bronze, and then the coffee bean. You're going to mix those 2 together. I can even show you what they look like over here.
One of our followers wants to know where you got the frame.
We picked them up at a local craft store, so you can get them like Michael's, AC Moore, but you could easily order these off Amazon. I've seen them on Amazon. Prime it. They'll have it in a day, and you can complete this. Then you can get your stencils over at cuttingedgestencils.com. Then you got a nice little metallic there. And then you're going to take your stencil brush. You mix your 2 colors together. Now you could go with a white or a cream. You can pretty much go, and you're going to paint your frame. You're going to paint the molding. The molding is probably going to need at least 2 coats. Let this coat dry, and then you would add on a second coat. I'm not going to bore you with painting molding. I'm going to just show you what our finished 4 frames. One other thing I'm going to show you is that we used wood glue to hold it in place. You would take your wood glue. You're going to put your wood glue across the bottom. You're going to smooth it on out, and then you are going to position it. And normally you would have all 4 pieces. You're going to put all 4 pieces together, And then you are going to, there's always, it's not perfect. So it is going to have maybe a little gap or something that you might need to fill in. This is great stuff, patch and paint. Pick this stuff up to fill in any small wood imperfections that you need to do. It dries really quickly. You just, here, I'll open it up and show you what it looks like on the inside. There you go. You're going to use your finger. You're going to pull some out. You're going to put it into the crack, and then you're going to give it a minute to dry, and then you're going to take your paintbrush and then paint on over it. It's going to really seal up the edges. So you may cut, it's not perfect, but that's fine, because at the end of the day, once you've used this stuff, no one's going to know the difference. It's going to look great. So we're going to put this on the side. And don't forget, you can get all of our stencils at Cutting Edge Stencils. $25 or more, you get $5 off. Use the code TAKE5, and we are going to take you guys around the way. Oh, and don't forget the stencil giveaway. We want to make sure everybody is entering. Where would you use a stencil in your home? Tell us now, and you can be entered into win a free stencil up to a $50 value, along with the Stencil Essentials kit. It's an ideal kit to have for all of your stencil projects. But I think we are going to rotate right around this way, and we are going to show you what the gallery wall would look like in the end. So this is ideally the frame that we would be finished crafting if we had finished painting the molding and we had, finished gluing it into place. There is your frame. We've also used our Harlequin stencil over on the larger square frame, and then we've painted it the creamy white color on the inside. We used the Heritage Grill up here. And then we painted the gray on the inside, and then we used the beads stencil for this final frame over here, and we painted our frame also a creamy white. Kind of gives the pictures a little bit of a pop. And all of these patterns work really well together, but any of our patterns work well together as long as you're kind of using coordinating colors that work with your room, but also work within your gallery set. So that's a really simple way to kind of create your gallery frame. You guys getting good shots? Is everybody liking how this looks?
Oh yeah.
We're getting lots of hearts in there.
Yep, people are loving it.
Easy way to make a wall pop.
Yes, it is such an easy way to make a wall pop. And don't forget, you can find all of these patterns along with wall patterns or mandala patterns or floor patterns over on our website, cuttingedgestencils.com. Have we selected a winner by any chance? Do we have a winner?
Okay, so her name is going to be Meg Griffin.
Oh, congratulations, Meg Griffin. Do we know where she wants the stencil?
She's going to do it above her baby's crib, so I'm sure she's going to find a great stencil for that.
That is going to look amazing. Congratulations. We are so excited to be sending you a stencil of your choice up to a $50 value. We can't wait to see which stencil you select for your nursery. And we just want to thank you for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed our tutorial. Don't forget, visit our website, cuttingedgestencils.com. TAKE5 is the code. $5 off, $25 or more of your purchase. And we have a lot of great inspiration over on our blog, as well as our Facebook page, even our Hometalk. We put all of our tutorials up over on Hometalk. We have a lot of great videos over there. So we just want to thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.